crisis of leadership. We've been talking about this all week. But what if there was some sort of outer space crisis? An alien invasion sounds crazy, perhaps. If aliens invaded, who would step up to lead us in that fight, and could we even win?
Think of how all the differences among people on Earth would seem small if we felt threatened by a space invader.
Government is going to stage some kind of a UFO landing, is going to frighten everybody, and all the nations will come together and collectively come together as a trick.
Like a War of the Worlds.
Yeah, like a War of the Worlds.
Right.
It's all going to be a trick, he thinks. Right. It's all going to be planned.
During the Watergate investigation, it was discovered that there was a plan originated in the White House to surface a submarine off the coast of Cuba and paint the second coming of Christ over the island of Cuba using holograms. Which is well within our technology today.
The technology necessary to project three-dimensional images to a point in space requires no new breakthroughs in science. We have the technology. Specific system development, we really can't talk about.
The idea was that since there is a large Catholic population in Cuba, they would be so upset by this vision that this would saturate the communication channels, the telephone system in Cuba, long enough for an invasion to take place.
How interesting. I'd never heard of that.
Well, I think that's a classic in psychological warfare, but that kind of manipulation is well understood, and I have personally investigated several apparently genuine UFO cases where there was, in fact, manipulation. My conclusion, the conclusion of scientists working with me, was that there was, in fact, a manipulation taking place, and that it was not a hoax on the part of the witnesses, but a hoax on the part of somebody much better organized.
Test facilities like Fort Huachuca in Arizona are electrical optical test beds, and part of what they're testing are the effects of these electro-optical devices on a target population.
December 1915, the New York Times reported that the inventor, Nikola Tesla, had filed patent applications on the essential parts of a machine, possibilities of which test a layman's imagination and promise a parallel of Thor shooting thunderbolts from the sky. Suffice it to say that the invention will go through space with a speed of 300 miles per second, a manless ship without propelling engine or wings, sent by electricity to any desired point on the globe, on its errand of destruction, if destruction its manipulator wishes to effect.
NASA's Project Bluebeam, which seems to be a potential umbrella of technology that will be used in manufacturing of end times signs and wonders. Many have spoken of this project in particular, but mostly focusing on the holographic aspects of the technology. First of all, Project Bluebeam goes way back, even beyond the 1980s. This is a long-tweaked technology, but according to sources, this was official.
Let's be honest. I wasn't supposed to make it into this race for governor. Wasn't supposed to be the former LA mayor or the state treasurer. I'm not part of the political class. I was raised by a single mom, public school teacher on the south side of Chicago. My name is John Cox. Entitled politicians and the special interests, they've rigged the game, trading favors and enriching themselves while forgotten Californians have been left behind. Millions drive to cities they love but can't afford to live in because the rents are too high and the homes are too expensive. So they commute on roads that are a mess. Our gas taxes make our gas prices among the highest in the country. Car registration fees are going up. Our schools are failing our children, and we have the highest poverty rate in the country. Sacramento politicians ration water in our homes while emptying our abundant water supply into the ocean. We're all tired of watching politicians of both parties fight. We don't have to accept their vision anymore, where people have to choose between buying gas to get to work or groceries to feed their family. That's a choice none of us should have to make. The good news is help is on the way. We can stop the water rationing, repeal the gas tax, finally fix our schools, and we can make housing and rents truly affordable. But we must have the courage to admit that those who have been leading California for so long have not been leading it well. This election is about the status quo versus change. Gavin Newsom stands with the lobbyists and the corrupt insiders. It's about time someone stands with the Californians he's forgotten. I'm John Cox, and I want to be your governor.
Officially launched into public practice as of the early 1980s. It was then partially declassified in the 90s. The largest hype surrounding this controversial project would be the plans to use its technology in the manufacturing of a worldwide alien invasion.
I couldn't help but say to him, just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings that we held if suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species from another planet outside in the universe.
This would utilize NASA satellites to project giant hologram images over the skies of every major city, simulating aliens invading the Earth. This would potentially result in the world coming together in unity as a global citizenship under a new world order.
We'd forget all the little local differences that we have between our countries, and we would find out once and for all that we really are all human beings here on this earth together.
Well, for the UN to have a global government, they'll need a global boogeyman. And the global warming thing kind of got debunked. If you've noticed, there's more and more coming out in the news now about aliens, alien contact. The UN has appointed a delegate for when there's alien contact. Even Fox News, one of the most conservative news channels, is doing stories about alien contact on occasion now that 5-10 years ago you've never seen on Fox News. That's all part of conditioning to eventually that the Project Bluebeam, alien contact will be what gives us the feeling that we need a global government to combat the alien invasion. And I can foresee that happening here relatively quickly in the future.
A spiral that appeared over northern Norway a couple of winters ago. And this was a revelation of the Bluebeam project as transmitted from satellites in orbit. That technology is accomplished through cameras and lenses and actually using 3 different beams focused on the same point, which create a multi-dimensional image that looks very real. And you can even make them move. And you can even create religious figures in the sky that will actually speak to you in your mind using mind transfer technology. Because every word in every language has a particular frequency. So if you can translate each word from every language into a frequency, and then transmit that frequency to your brain, you will hear commands in your own language that can usually take the sound of your own voice so that you think it's coming from you, or it can be changed to make it sound like the voice of a religious figure, political figure, etc.
The silent subliminal presentation system that can beam voices into our heads, which has already been patented for years now.
They have been beaming these frequencies at our brains.
There's been a lot of excitement about the possibility of Amazon building a new headquarters in the Denver area.
But we wondered about the thousands of smaller businesses that have already relocated to our state. Why did they decide to make the big move? So I visited one to find out.
Denver's impressive skyline reminds us of the big businesses that are key to our economy. But hey, don't forget the little guys, like Fitbot in Boulder. Just 8 employees so far, sharing a small space in the back of a building off 28th Street. There's a lot of tech brain power in here, and everyone moved to Colorado from somewhere else.
I wanted to be a place where there was a lot of tech activity going on. Boulder, Denver area certainly fits that. Wanted to be in a place where there are lots of active people around. Boulder, Denver area certainly kind of fits that bill.
Fitbot is an online workout platform that lets trainers design personalized workouts for clients, no matter how far away. It's all on the app.
I'm walking to the gym with a workout built for me.
Yeah.
It's going to work help me work towards my goals. And it's also amazing when a trainer has built a relationship with a client and that client moves and they get to retain that relationship from a distance.
Like all newcomers to the metro area, the Fitbot team had to get used to the traffic and the soaring cost of housing. Commuting from Denver gets tricky for AJ Self.
If you leave at earlier hours, or like I'll work with Casey to figure out days I can just stay home and avoid traffic in general. And it's always very tempting to take the express lane to try to weave around traffic.
Yeah, grab this.
Emily Hester owned a gym in Washington State, but was drawn to a Fitbot job opening she saw on Instagram.
Followed it back to the website, saw what the company was about, saw that they were hiring, immediately knew it would be a great fit. Hopefully was thinking they would think the same thing. Shot my resume over to Casey, and the rest is kind of history.
Like thousands of Colorado entrepreneurs, Casey Jenks is enjoying a new home and looking to the future.
There's always stuff to build. It's never truly done. There's always ways to make it better.
Things are going well, though. About 2,500 trainers and coaches subscribe to the Fitbot platform, and last month alone, they used it to deliver some 600,000 workout plans to their clients at gyms all over the world.
And over our nations for a long time. At this point, there's no way for us to even know if our thoughts are our own.
We've got DARPA has a sonic projector that was reported on in 2007. Of course, it had been around for quite some time before then. Army has something they call voice to skull. We've got the Air Force using microwaves to create sounds at Brooks Air Force Base. We've got the Marine Corps with their Medusa project. We've got the State Department, as reported by the Washington Post in 2005, working on voices implanted in people's heads. We've got a couple of companies, one that has patented something called hypersound. That's American Technologies. Has also got Holosonic Research Labs, also has a patented version. So the military-industrial complex has been all over this. When you see something this wide, this is not just one little research project from one organization. And this is something that 5, 10 years ago, it was being reported on in even mainstream press like the Washington Post, and yet nobody knows about this.
Dr. Michael Persinger is a professor of psychology and neuroscience. He is designing ways to put the power of mind control to good use. Dr. Persinger's research focuses on brain trauma, and he uses carefully controlled doses of electromagnetic radiation to induce relaxation and alleviate pain.
So what Sandra did was to initiate a opiate releasing pattern. That's a burst firing field that is stimulated once every 4 seconds. And that produces relaxation and a very pleasant sensation. Similarly, using the appropriate field, we can induce fear and apprehension, but clearly that would be unethical in that setting.
Dr. Persinger's tests suggest that carefully programmed electromagnetic frequencies can tap into individual brains and influence people's emotions.
It was found long ago that if you can put a voice into someone's head, you can do several things. If I put a voice that's foreign to your normal thought pattern in your head, that becomes harassment. And the harassment over time will make you display signs of schizophrenia. When you go and tell people that you're hearing voices, we've been patterned to turnkey see that as schizophrenia and not even look to see if there's a legitimate source for it. If I put a voice in your head that's in your voice, and if you pattern a thought, like I tell some of these victims, when you read a book, you're actually hearing your own voice in your head as you read. If I put that voice in your head, then that becomes a thought, and you'll act on those thoughts, and that's how they think that some of this is being used for subliminal control.
Suppose you generate a field that produces fear, fundamental fear, in large numbers of people. Then, over the television, more traditional way. The reason we're having this fear is because of this particular group. And now you start to move the population believing in a direction that you wish.
To influence 250 million people, the equivalent of the entire population of the United States, may not be that difficult. According to Dr. Persinger, we already have the technology, satellites and television, and radio transmitters. Mind control may already be happening. We know the mysterious PSYOPs plane can beam persuasive sounds and pictures into people's television sets. Will it someday beam disturbing frequencies directly into the mind? Mind control will be the ultimate non-lethal weapon.
We're dealing with a
San Francisco today is the most sought-after city in the country.
San Francisco is a hub of a lot of innovative thinking. We wanted to create a building that embodies that ambition.
form of technology where you can no longer trust your senses. You can't trust what your eyes see. You can't trust what your ears hear. And more than that, you can't trust what you really believe to be true or false.
The agenda behind all of this is to create a society that is robotical, very similar to what you see on the Borg in Star Trek. You know, you report to a computer system, you don't question anything, you don't deviate from your functions, you do what you're told, and there is no independent thinking to do otherwise. They do this to ensure that the culture does not deviate from its agenda through eons of time.
Well, I think that, the spraying from the air, I've been to 50 countries over the last 20 years, and even when I visit my friend Credo Mutwa, the Zulu shaman in South Africa near the Kalahari Desert, you look up in the sky and the bloody chemtrails are there. They're everywhere. And there's obviously a reason for that. And one of the things I've learned over this 20 years of research is that there's never one reason for anything. There are multiple reasons. Part of it is destabilizing the human immune system. Part of it is creating a sub-reality around the planet to manipulate the energetic field that we're living in every day. And I'm absolutely convinced that the chemtrails and the manipulation of the lower levels of the energetic field, Earth's energetic field, which we live in and experience all the time, is connected in part to the HAARP transmissions, which, of course, HAARP has many multiple levels of technology and applications, and one of them is literally creating mass fields of thought, which we decode as our own. I had a friend in America who told me a few weeks ago that she, her husband, her son, and her son's partner had exactly the same dream about Barack Obama in the same night, which was a dream saying that he was a good guy and a wonderful guy and all the rest of it, which, a day's research will show you was a nonsense. But and she said immediately that she felt that some kind of technology had been broadcast and people had picked it up. What they're seeking to access is the pineal gland to literally transmit thought, perceptions, dreams into your reality. We need to be aware of this, because not every dream is a premonition of all the rest of it. They can be broadcast out, and we can decode them and thinking it's a dream we're having when it's actually something we're picking up, and that's what part of the HAARP system is.
Most people kind of in the back of their mind know there's something going on, but it doesn't have anything to do with football or basketball or my paying my rent, so I don't want to fool with it. It's not important.
Yeah,
but everybody kind of feels there's something going on.
Yeah, because most people live in a box, and they don't want to come out of the box.
No doubt about it.
They open the lid every so now and again and just peep outside, and they close it.
Yep.
We've just got to not let fear get to us, because that's the control system's most potent weapon.
Sorry.